from Flyware. That is, we have some colleagues here in the back, and what we do in Flyware is basically international payments. Okay, so it's a company that is based here in Valencia, but we also have offices in Boston and other places. We're in NASDAQ. Yeah. And then what I'm going to talk today is about what we did to revamp the software process, okay? From the part that we were doing before, that is like very human-centric, and how we are trying to convert it to more AI-based flow, okay? As a disclaimer, I would say that this is only opinions. It's too soon, okay? Half of them are ideas, okay? It comes with no warranty. So probably you at your works already are doing some of those things. Probably you have better ideas, happy to hear them afterwards, okay? But take it with a pinch of salt, because maybe I will watch this talk in a few years and I will say like, everything was wrong. Okay, so let's see how wrong it is. Feel free to interrupt during the talk, I don't mind. I would just have the conversation and talk, okay? So, problem that we have in Flyware is that at some point, everyone was taking super crazy with Claude, copilots, cursors, and all that. And at some point, we stop and we say, okay, we are seeing that all the metrics related to software delivery, we're putting a lot of pressure on the process, okay? What we do about it, because if we continue like that, we're going to crash, okay? The process in Flyware historically has been very based on TDD and BDD principles, pair programming, having fast CIs and push to production several times per day, okay? We are not the same company as 10 years before. We are way bigger, and then the problem is that the team it's around, platform is 80 developers. In total, it will be 300, more or less. But the problem is that if we keep scaling, we're going to start seeing more and more problems in production, okay? So we sit down and we say, okay, we stop. What should we do, okay? Let's see. First of the thing, I don't know if you see it there because it's, well, I don't know if we could make it a bit bigger or no? Maybe I could do it? Neither. You just trust me, okay? If I do like that? Yes. Now, a bit better, okay? So, we thought about the factory and the things that I think I prefer light, but if you guys want to sleep, it's okay. I could keep talking like this, okay? So, 6 factory planes is what we talk. It's like 6 principles that we're going to base all the software development, okay, against them, okay? The 6 things that we are following for our software development process, okay? So today on the talk, I'm going to talk probably about the substrate, execution, and the durable evaluation, but there are more things, okay? So as a summary, intent is what we try to express, like the developers are not the ones executing, are the ones defining what they want to do, okay? So it's very mandatory for a developer in Flyware to know the business. It's 100% mandatory. And then the machine is going to be the one coding. The only work left for the developer, quote, 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 is to state the intent. And how we model that intent in terms of issues, specifications, architecture records, and all that, it's quite important now. Before, it was like a tiny Markdown file that you drop in a repository. No one read it, no one updating. Today, it's critical because if not, the coding engine gets super lost, okay? That's also what we call the substrate. Every single service has a ton of things inside that could be test, could be documentation, could be specification on the API, many other things that before were important, but as humans were quite, I would say, intelligent. Now when having coding agents that are less intelligent or less versatile, you need to have that substrate good. Okay, we're going to enter into that thing later. And then autonomous execution is like all of you have used Copilot in front of them. Some of you have jumped into Claude doing things, maybe open several tabs. What we're trying to push is like, okay, can we have this kind of execution without a human in the background? Okay, what kind of function can we do doing that? And in our case, the environment is extremely regulated. We cannot push code to production without human intervention. So that imposes a first challenge of like, oh shit, all the compliance, SOC 2, SOX, and all that PCI is not valid anymore. What we do just to circumvent all that, okay? And then the second one, it's very important, is the durable evaluation. I'm not going to talk about this now because we have another slide. And the other two are provenance and governance, are extremely boring, so not included into the talk, okay? No one wants to talk about the compliance. Maybe in another space we'll do it, not today, okay? If someone is interested, happy to talk over a coffee, but not interested today, okay? So, let's talk about what we call the substrate, okay? What we saw is that all the companies that have very good developer experience on it, like if you think on Stripe and you see the stories about how cool is the tooling inside of Stripe, and you could start half of Stripe in your machine or in another services, those companies are doing very good with AI, okay? If your service, you clone the repository and you take ages to start it, it's not working, bad configuration, depending on the data sheet and all that, you will probably fail as well, okay? So that's why we call the substrate. The first thing that we do is like, okay, the 100 services that we have in Flyware, and we're creating every day more and more, are they ready for automatic consumption? Or are they even ready for human consumption? And we saw like some of them were really, really in a bad state, some others in better shape, okay? Could start for very simple things like having a good agents.md, okay, that will guide a bit the agent on the code base. But we have a lot of things there, like the test has to be able to run locally. How many of you have cloned a repository and everyone is working, it's your first day, you try to do the testing and it's not working for some reason, and then you get frustrated and you spend 2 days doing that, okay? That's the first thing that we have to solve, because we need to push more speed into the teams, okay? Same thing, the service needs to boot locally, and we'll have a ton of dependencies. When you have 80 different services, you have some sort of mess there, and a mess too, and then it's very difficult. So if your service is not able to boot locally or in some kind of CI environment, you got a problem as well, okay? Then some other things, like for instance, seeds and simulation pack. It's two things that we're trying to invest heavily on that. Seeds is that we need to have some sort of synthetic data for the service, okay? And when your service depends on other service, you need somehow to have like some sort of mocks and some kind of contact testing between both services and all that. Because when you pull a service to start working on it with code AI agents, what happens is that maybe you need to bootstrap another 30 services, and you don't want to do that, okay? So that kind of contract between services, now it's way more important than before, okay? Before you could have an environment or several environments for a team where you have mini Flywares inside. Nowadays it's impossible. If you want the whole team and all that, work on that and start pushing PRs, either your service can work on isolation or you are just dead, okay? You're gonna work there, okay? So from there, I think what before was more or less a luxury, now it's something important for the teams, okay? If you have invested in tooling for your teams that could bootstrap services or help you with the infrastructure that you have, then you are in more or less good shape. Some of the folks here started a few years ago a tool that we call Magellan, that is the single CLI for every developer. And with Magellan, you could bootstrap a service, perform a small refactor, do cleanup of the DSL of the configuration, several things. That small tool is what has more or less saved us to become a completely collapse, because we have normalized more or less how the repositories look between all the services. It's not easy to do. We have services that are in Ruby, some are in Java, front-end, it's front-end, and it's always a chaos, and all that, okay? So first of the thing that we need is standardize the substrate. And then, before jumping into this, I will share, we were talking about standardizing the substrate. So what we have done is to create a tool that we call AI adoption, okay? Where we could see more or less the score for each one of the repositories. So we got like a ton of applications, developers and teams as well, but we are normally making a score for each one of them, and then pointing the ones that have more traffic and try to isolate of them. Which kind of things that we are looking for the substrate, as you see? In terms of documentation, sometimes it's just the documentation around coding conventions and all that before was important, but now not. Okay. Some of the other parts is like the architecture. Most of the applications maybe are big, and you need to have like the boundaries between all the modules and all that. Tooling, verification, planning, and review. All this has to be in shape for the whole system to work. Okay. So what we are doing, we have get all the services, and we have start making punctuations on the. You don't see it because it's a bit of the hardness that we have from 1 to 5, and we have get all the things, and then the way to work is like, okay, which services are burning more tokens because we don't have the documentation properly done? Which services are not being able to start locally but have 40 developers on them? Okay, and those are the first ones that we are targeting. Okay, as well as that, very polemic as well is the adoption scoreboard. We have been bashed forever into the coffee machine for this. We have another tab that is the people, and we are tracking how many tokens are burned and all that. This has generated a lot of polemics. That's another learning that we have, that when you put a score into a service, it's okay, but when you put a score into a team, maybe you get stabbed in the back when you are going to the kitchen, okay? So don't do it, or keep it privately, okay? Coming back to the presentation, that's the other tool that we developed. We are going to talk about autonomous execution. That is like, okay, you remember that we said like, we need a developer to be in front of the computer, and at some point, how many of you have created some tabs? When you have 4 tabs in a terminal open with Cloud Code, what happens? You just want to vomit and kill yourself and go to the Bahamas to sleep, to lay down on the beach, no? So what we say like, okay, there's a lot of tasks that you could do that could just run in the background, not in your machine, okay? So we have created this tool that is called Orbit, that is a self-service background agent service, okay? In my head, one's super good when I wrote it, now it doesn't suit anymore, okay? So we could trigger agents with events that happen, like a pull request is created, we trigger an event. We could trigger events, agents on scheduling, like every single day at the end of the day, do this and that, okay? We're doing that for many, many other principles and all that. I will show the tool maybe first, if it's up and running. For instance, we have here the code review agent. It's for a bigger screen, but you will get an idea. So this is one of the agents that are doing pull request. So every time you open a pull request, you got a bot that is commenting every single line that you have and all the changes that you have done. So the way it works is that we load all the context on the repository, and every kind of repository have slightly different instructions, okay? If you have good substrate, but review is going to be better, burn less tokens. And then we get a sort of recommendations here. It's going to tell you, I don't know, this message, it's okay, this was very good, and show feedback and all that. What I lose is a tab that I have with a pull request with all the comments in line, saying suggestions and all that, okay? This is the first one of the bots that we have completed on the infrastructure now. We are also measuring the cost of it, because applying agents to your code base is going to be extremely expensive. So the code review, we're getting good results using small models like Haiku. You don't need Opus or something like that. That's also learning. This is the second version. You get good results as long as your substrate is okay and you are looking for things, okay? Now, okay, background agents. What are we planning to do with that? We have many ideas that we're going to develop during the year. This is more or less the roadmap for, I would say this quarter, but those guys will kill me. For now to the end of summer, I would say. And things that are working good is the code review and the user story implementer. We have a way to just grab user stories that are more or less good defined. You remember that we said before the intent. If you define what the intent is that, we're going to do that. And more or less implementing that. If you don't ask for rocket science, it's going to be okay. And then we have some others that are just in the works. Like for instance, compacting knowledge is something that we are trying to do as well. Like we don't want to end up with a lot of documentation, markdown files and tests and all that. We have to start down and cleaning up things. Okay, this is another learning. If you drop many things into our repository to say the bot is going to be extremely smart, wrong. You are going to lose a lot of the contexting of the context window. So we need to start compacting knowledge and removing things that you don't need. Okay. Normally, the cloud.md or the agentsmd tend to have like a lot of information, and we feel that it's better to just start removing things from there eventually. Okay, if not, it becomes a mess. Another thing that we are, our teams are quite happy. I would say we're going to try to diagnose production issues when they happen. Happens an issue, we get signals from Honeycomb, Sentry and all that, and we figure out what happened. Also with experiment there. We do the same with the security problems that we have, and this one is my favorite one, is that the pull request auto-healing, because we are opening, I don't know, 50 pull requests per day in Flyware, okay? And everyone is feeling the same. You open a pull request, bot review throws you a ton of shit, your team's thrown a ton of shit, security guys say, oh, remember you pull requests, so here's the 2 CVs that we're going to pull you and you have to deliver tomorrow. So all of that, we have more or less detected the toil on the pull request that failed. Maybe it's because the infrastructure, maybe it's just because the security things. And what we're trying to do is auto-prepare all those pull requests so that people can actually do work instead of being updating libraries, okay, the whole day. Yeah.
How many people in your cluster are working with this tool?
Now, not too many. How many projects do we have with Orbit?
Besides Orbit, with the code reviews or?
With the code reviews, for instance.
Like 10?
10.
Around that.
But this is kind of a code job for the people, right? On top of their normal engineer work, or they dedicate to controlling that and to make sure that some afterwards actions are needed.
So all this, without background agents, is part of what we require to a developer. Okay, in fact, we are requiring a lot to developers, but developers need to control very good the business. You need to know what's a credit card payment or an ACI, it's recurring, whatever. You also need to be aware of the security. You need to know the infrastructure systems. You need to be coding and now AI. So what we saw is like, if a developer is being asked too much, maybe some of those things we just offload it to the system, okay? That's more or less the premise that we are trying to do. Here, there's like, I don't know if you know the distinction between CapEx and OpEx. The capitalization efforts, this is full OpEx. We don't want that. It's very bad for our results. We just want to offload that as much as possible, okay? Sometimes we offload it to contractor companies. Now we are trying to offload it to AI. I think it's more or less sensible. But that's a good thing that we could talk about it, because LLMs are not deterministic. If you ask twice to Codex or Copilot, or Copilot now because it's a mess, Cloud Code, the same answer, you probably get 2 different results. We don't want that, okay? So that's another of the tenets that we are trying to pursue. That is the durable evaluation, that we want to, all the things that we do with AI, to try to be as deterministic as possible, okay? So before entering here, okay, let's see 3 different examples, okay? We have, in the SOCs, compliance thing. I promise that I wasn't going to talk about compliance, but you get the compliance thing, okay? So we have to verify that 2 different payments have never shared the same ID, okay? For obvious reason, because if not, you pay only once, okay? You could ask Claude and say, can you verify me that all the payment IDs have the same? It will do it, okay? Sometimes right, sometimes wrong, and you will burn a ton of tokens, okay? It's way better to do the opposite, like, please ask Cloud to create for you a system to verify that. That's what we call the durable evaluation. It's durable because what you create, you could apply it in a deterministic way, okay? Sometimes it's just a unit test, verifying that, But we believe that we have to go one way deeper, that is use a database constraint, use a model checker, strike typing, all sort of tools that before were only for aeronautics and space. We are seeing now like, oh, this could, because if we do that, we just guarantee the system and we don't have to do over and over again. So anything in that layer that will you guarantee more deterministic behavior is things that you have to push the AI for doing. Okay, AIs are not good for determinism. Okay, but you could use AI to build systems that are deterministic. That's more or less another of the tenets that we want to do. Okay. As I said, evaluations, the way that we evaluate that the system is working good, before were not that mandatory. Now we did it because we have loose control over the code. So we need that those evaluations to be more strategic than before. The unit test suite that you have before saving your ass is even more important. Okay? The foreign keys that you didn't like to put because somewhere we'll figure out, no, they are important. Okay? The database contracts that we are going to put in the controller, but also before we do the thing, now even more important, because if not, the LLM is going to get it wrong. Okay? It's going to get it wrong. So, what else do we have? This is more or less a summary of the vision that we try to do. Now that we have shown 3 different tenets that we have. If you remember, intents, like what we try to do. The second one was we want to have a good substrate on the services. And the third one is like we want to have proofs that what we are doing is good, durable evaluations, okay? The vision on that is like if we go to a software factory that is going to be more AI native, the humans are in charge of the intent, what I want to try to do, the semantics on that intent. What I say that this is an ACH payment or a PCI rule, it's me the one saying it, it's never the machine, and the exceptions. Machine cannot force exception on a system. It's another rule that we have, okay? If you do that, what's left for the machine or the autonomous system is the execution of that, okay? Machine is going to produce the code, machine is going to produce the test, machine is going to perform evaluations of the code, but never define the semantics or the intents, okay? Always the execution and the evidence, okay? Are you going to check the code that all the tests are passing? No, it's going to be a bot, okay? So you have to collect those evidence somewhere as well because you need it for multiple reasons, okay? That's more or less the vision, and with this thing, we start then building the rest, yeah? So, now the polemic thing. I got a yellow card for the polemic thing. Okay. Things that we are trying at Flyware, okay? I put the ones on, I'm going to go step by step. The ones that are on green is things that I think that are more or less working, okay? Probably wrong as well. And then there are things that we have put in red that are definitely not working today, maybe tomorrow. And then some ideas, some random ideas on things that we're trying, okay? So let's see, probably you already are doing many of them, but let's see. Or if there's someone in the public that has better ideas, please share it, okay? We are super lost. Okay, so I don't know if you could see it, but we are going to do it. One of the things that work a lot in Flyware, super good, is pushing the QIs to the left of the process. The sooner, the better, okay? That worked before AI. The QIs in Flyware are people that are extremely intricate with the business, okay? And that helps us to refine the solution and then also look for problems. What we have seen now is that now our QAs are even more in the left too, and they are not performing any more exploratory tests or automating. They are just helping the business to make sure that the intent layer is properly set up, okay? That all the requirements and the refinements are properly set up. It's something that is working and has been always working from the day one. Now that we have AI, it's even working better for some reason, okay? We are seeing that. Durable evaluation, we have already said that. If you have a colleague at work that says, oh, but I'm throwing Claude at the code to check if the thing is going, But use Claude to create a system that is performing the thing, because that result is part of your asset that you can capitalize later, okay? Then another thing that is working quite good, we never did microservices in Flyware, not as the manual, we did small services. And I'm going to link that to the next one, that is the domain segregation. We do, when we say like, okay, let's focus on the pricing structure or the things, makes sense as all the business teams are talking about specific pricing, that we have a service underneath doing that. The parts that we have been able to match the business need with the team structure and the services behind it, it has worked perfectly, okay? Whenever we have done not properly good domain segregation and then services start to grow or being too tiny, what we end is to a mess, okay? We end up into services dropping messages into the queue and there's disorder and then you do that and all that, business priorities colliding and all that. Now with AI, putting more pressure in the software development process, you really need to do that, okay? It's a better way to, when you ask your boss, I want to refactor this service, and they say, why? The answer should be, I want to align with business thing. And then they start getting it, okay? Another thing that we have done, and this, some of the people are hating of that, we have been that for a lot of time, is that when software has problems, okay, and when you start seeing that there are teams that are not performing, you never have to stop delaying things to production. Start pushing more things to production. Smaller things, more verifiable, and all that. If you start holding the ball, it will be like a snowball into a mountain. You will create more problems, okay? What happens if we are saying that we are pushing more and more software? What should we do? Increase the cadence to go to production. Small pull request, go to production. Several times per day, okay? We have a very funny metric that is how many deploys a team has done in a Friday. Okay? I will tell you it's around 20% of the deploys for a week, so we are not super bad. But if it goes down, for me, I normally say, there's something weird there. They are not, they don't feel good enough to push the production on a Friday and just go on holidays. Something is wrong, okay? It's a good metric to do. So one thing that we encourage the thing is that push things to production many times as possible during the day.
Does it mean all your testing is automated, so you don't have any UAT like human?
Most of the testing is automatic, and we have parts that we just push to production and see telemetry with a part of the traffic. That's something that we can afford sometimes, and sometimes not every single team has these kind of things, and we need to. But the code is way larger than us. So one thing that has worked for us is like push to production and we'll see. And we will force them to make sure that everything is working into production. If not, what's going on there, okay? And then, I don't know how I'm in time, but the guy is telling me okay or bad. 1 minute for everything. Okay. We did mob programming in the past, that it was like we put like 5 developers in a room to program with only one screen, and they were building the solution by their own. We are not doing that anymore, okay? Why? Because now we have several tabs and they are creating the code, and the code is not a problem anymore. What we do is the planning step together. The refinement that we did before, or it was called grooming before, we do it with Claude, trying to segment the solution into small talks. We do it all together. So the knowledge between the heads is spread. But it's not that important into the programming side. It's more important into the intent layer. So we try to push that to the left as much as possible, okay? And then the team that is sitting down there in the row is the AI enablement. It's not a team that is going to create production solution. It's just a developer experience team. Because we have seen that the developer experience is 100% correlated with the usage that you have on AI. You have good developer experience, the bots are going to have good developer experience, okay? There's no difference. So when we talk about AI enablement, it has this fancy name because the business loves it, but it's more like a developer experience tooling team. We are just enable people to do that. We are not doing anything else, okay? Things that are not working for us, okay? As I said, maybe it's working for you guys, don't get it wrong, okay? It's my experience, okay? So, prompt engineering, please do it this and do it right, work harder. Come on, has never been working for us. Prompt it's too variable, you are going to change the model. Cloud 0.46 and Cloud 4.7 is going to behave differently. Your prompt of do it harder, maybe it's like, in this version you have to make nicer. This is not working for us, okay? It's never going to work, and it's like hurts determinism. It's like we are looking for determinism on the models, okay? You cannot lead out with the prompt. It's going to become better over the years, not our problem, okay? Fire engineers to pay for AI. This is something that I get in the coffee machine the whole time. We're not going to do that. Why? Engineers in Flyware are not coding most of the time, are doing other things related with the business, are more like a product people on steroids. If we fire people who's going to do the all business landing on the requirements and all that, it will be nuts, okay? So when they say burn tokens at all the cost, we don't have a problem of burning tokens in Flyware, okay? It's the same, but we don't have problems with the Amazon infrastructure neither. You could expand, you could create new services. Are you going to use several terabytes, gigabyte database for your local development in Amazon? No. Are you going to burn 1 million tokens because you want to generate an image for your meetup on the next one? Neither. So if you link those two, the cost managing aspect of the whole token scenario should be the same as the infrastructure, okay? It happens. So if I got to the business now that we are planning the second half of the year, and I go to the top management level and they say like, hey, you know that you want to do these kind of features, but I can only deliver with these teams 40%. But you know what? With AI, I could deliver 60%, but I'm going to put and fire developers. They will say, what? We're not going to do that, ever, because they want to ship features, okay? It is not going to happen. That's as well with the blindness vibe coding. That people, we have done some experiments with some product or business people doing code, end up into a disaster because they don't know how to deploy, and they end up with index.html attached to a Confluent page, and they send to Slack saying, hey, look my awesome tool. It's like, what? Engineering it's another thing. It's not only coding. Coding is just a small part. Okay, we're not going to do it blindly. We're going to check the code. We read the code, but we're going to create tools to verify that that code is what is supposed to be done. Okay, I don't mind red card shit. I don't mind to not reading the code, but we need to 100% verify that that code is working. Okay, and then things that are more or less working. As I don't have a lot of time, I will pick some of them. Things that are more or less working good is the automatic code reviews. The code reviews, when you see the comments and all the things that we're getting, is like, shit, this thing is getting good results. The yellow part is that developers don't pay attention. Okay. One of the things that I think that we're going to start to do on interviews is like, is this developer being able to read a chapter of a book without taking out the mobile phone? Then hide. Okay. Otherwise, if they are not able to read without getting distracted, then nothing. Okay. So reading is now a quite cool skill that we are trying to do in Flyware. Okay. Seems to. Okay. Another thing that we try to encourage people is doing full rewrites of the code. We have done experiments. You could easily rewrite system if the specifications or the substrate of the durable evaluations are good. You could do a rewrite. Now, is it faster? Yes. Still the same risky as before. Maybe your assumptions are wrong and you're going to end into a problem. Good luck. Okay? Now, things that we are not doing, but we would love to do it. Okay? At some point, things that I think that it could be done. So I would like to measure the tokens per feature. We're getting ready for it, and go to the product team and say, hey, you know, last year you burned 10 million tokens. What's the result for the business? And that's going to change the conversation. You want to do this and that is going to be 6 months of engineering plus 20 million tokens. Who's going to pay for it? Okay, I think that's the right conversation. Okay, Second one that it could work as well is like, okay, if we are going to start a service from scratch, can we do 2 different implementations of the service and behave as a dual system on production? So you could verify that the specifications in one side or the other work properly. That's another idea that's floating around. Maybe have every service has 2 different implementations, and we check it in. Will allows us to ship more code in the without testing it, because you still have the other one, so you evolve it different. Okay. And then, for instance, knowledge compactation and feature compactation are very difficult to do. If we are going to push more code, we have to figure out a way to automatically remove things from the code base. Okay? There are features that we have shipped 2 years ago that are not being used. We have to detect them and just remove them. Why not? It's a problem. So we go to do compactation of the knowledge that we have plus the features that we have in the code. We will keep things more or less on shape. Okay? And the final one that I will say is more or less the thing. Whenever we got crazy measuring people on the tokens and trying to figure out if engineers are going to survive the thing, I will start measuring the yield, the productivity yield that we have get with the tools, not the throughput. Number of pull requests, we don't care. How many value we have pushed to the business using AI or not, it's what we try to do. So every measure that you do, our recommendation is that we're going to measure that as well. Okay. So apart from that, nothing else. Just to thank to Javi, to Edu that is not here because Paco is not looking like that. It's not blind, but we are doing. Borja and Danny, that are part of the team, they are doing other things, but they are enabling all the company to do good things in Flyware. Okay. Come on, now is the time for your questions.
For knowledge compactation, are you like handling the history or saving like a snapshot of the whole context and stuff?
We are not doing anything yet.
So it's just getting rid of the past.
Knowledge compartation is difficult because what I think it will work is put knowledge next to the service. But there are things that are across services, and I don't know where to put them. I contacted many vendors, and it's like a mess. So how I'm going to put knowledge compactation if now the information is like a mess? I have no idea. But we could talk next year in case you find something around it. So I would say that the company knowledge has to be central to some place, but keeping it updated is very hard, even with AI. So very good point. No idea. Yeah.
Did you build your harness from scratch, or did you use any frameworks?
What would you consider hardness for you?
All the automation around the agents, the loop, the guardrails, everything.
So we consider as the durable thing, we consider unit testing as part of the harness. We consider compliance as code policies as part of the harness. It's rare that we have a harness that is only based on text. So those, if we had to build it today, we will use some cloud code. The whole point for us is like when we go to the evaluation, the harness, and we try to create it, we could automate to create the harness, but it's not going to end up into Markdown. It will be strange. Because for a LLM, it will be hard to read all the aspects for your company and then do it right. It will make mistakes. So what we need is to generate tests or generate big constraints or big formulas or big something that will prevent that to happen. In any case, it will be automatic, I think.
My question was more like, did you code everything around, or did you use any available frameworks?
Not yet.
Do you use Cloud Code, for example? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
We're not going to use any vendoring, tooling, framework specific or anything like that. Plain cloud code is normally good.
Okay.
Any recommendation? I'm fishing for ideas, just in case someone wants to. We're also hiring, in case you want to join us. We have avocados in the kitchen. I don't know if it counts or not. Yeah.
The website you showed, is it homebrewed? Did you find it yourself?
Yeah, we do it internally. We evaluate. No, I would say we do it internally. The orbit thing, you mean, no? We do it internally. We evaluated other vendors like ONA or Devin or things. They are very expensive. They are doing right things, but we are starting small. It's okay. One of the things that we try to say is like, where I told the team, but the team is laughing at me the whole day. It's like I want the environments to boot up in a millisecond stuff. ONA is doing that. We don't yet. We need the environments to be hermetic and sealed. It means that when you boot up the environment, you are not going to internet to fetch for things because it will violate some principles. So for now, it's all in-house. So.
Are you developers in your team? They are switched more to the business analyst role, or they are still kind of only developers? I mean, do you have both kind of roles in your team, like business analysts and developers, or your developers are switched as well?
All the developers need to have some kind of business context. It's not mandatory. We don't require it. Like when you come to Flyware, maybe you don't know anything about payments. It's fine. We give you some Slack, but it's very rare to have a developer that is only doing internal stuff. Like because it's okay, but I don't know. You get more power when you are aligned to the business.
Yeah, that's great. I just seen the team that they haven't any business analysts and they have only developers, and they kind of this agent stuff is maybe more will become more popular, so they will switch from business part. As you told,
Yeah.
Business analysts on steroids.
Yeah.
Somehow.
From a technical perspective, the purely technical in Flyware, we have enough challenges to not to get bored in terms of scalability, cooperation between teams, distributed system, and all that. So even if you need to be business focused, there's a lot of interesting problems that you have to solve anyway. So.
On one slide you have TDD, BDT, there's something that did not work for you. Can you elaborate on this?
Yeah, it worked for us in the past. We got like a developer, and the developer sit down, wrote the test, and then wrote the implementation. But now if it's the cloud code is doing the whole thing.
But is the process still the same? Does cloud code do the test first?
No, we just do the intent specification, so the planning, and you hand over to a smaller model. A model is doing everything, test and implementation in one shot. In some cases, that's a very good thing. You need to do the harness before you start the implementation, but when we started AI, the coverage for Flyware was pretty good, like 95% something. All the repository have tests. It was impossible to have a repository without test. It's pretty good covered. I would say it's one of the best things in Flyware. So now we are saying we're not going to do, oh, build me the test for this. It's more like, yeah, do everything in one shot and we'll figure out. Why not? We are giving some freedom to the bots to be happy and flourish. So.
Which metrics do you use to evaluate the performance of your services? Because if you are delegating for the implementation to AI and you just specify the intent, then there will be a change. This change will be pushed. And how often you evaluate? Imagine as low.
Some services trigger alerts and wake up people from their sleep normally. Okay, so it's something that happened like I will put an example. If a payment cannot be created in X milliseconds, 4-5 minutes, we will trigger an alert, and that alert, if there's business hours on the team that is managing, it will pop in the channels. If not, it will wake up someone after 3-5 minutes, more or less. So that evaluation is 100% constant. We have other services that are not that critical for the business that we can establish an SLO or SLI, and then we just figure out. Where I would say that in the same shape of the rest of the companies, that we're trying to figure out what would be a good SLA for the business. Business is going to say, I want this running 100% of the time, and then it's not the case. So we try to evaluate always that in the production environment. So it's hard to do, I would say. Even calculating the uptime, super difficult. Yeah.
In the phase, developers try to drive how the agent have to code and then in the code review you have automated almost all the code review, but what about, my question is, what about code quality and how you check that the agents are using the properly patterns, designs, and all of this stuff?
So normally, it's a very good question. So there are several parts. If the code base is properly well structured, the bot will follow that structure. Some of the other parts, we have instructions in the Cloud MD about how they should behave. And we put some examples like, oh, if you are going to create a subscriber for a queue, use this one as an example. Some others have a skill to do that. Database migrations that are very risky, we have a whole skill inside of the repository that says, you know, you're going to add a database migration. If you are going to rename a column, it will lock the database, so don't do that. Or split the database. So that's hard-coded more or less on the skills level.
Well, in most of the projects, there are some patterns that are repeated along the services that I'm asking about. Maybe if in some use case, if you implement a strategy pattern or a new pattern that is not implemented yet in the service, are you care about that or not? Or maybe it's not important anymore because we delegate that. I don't know because I want to know your opinion or the opinion of the team.
I don't know what you guys think. So my opinion is that sometimes you don't care, and sometimes you want to do very specific thing on the code, and you have to be very vocal of, I want to do this, and I want these two tables, and I want this background worker doing this and that. Go with the rest, don't deviate from here. I don't know what you guys are doing. Are you very vocal when you're with Claude, or must just let it go?
The problem is if the AI takes as context part of what's being implemented.
Yeah. Totally.
You said that code reviews are very successful, but the cross-model verification is not. So it means you review the code using the same model as which you wrote the code.
Yeah, here, so this wording is bad. We had some experiments of, okay, we're going to use Claude for creating the code and then Codex to review that code or compare the implementation. I think we wasted a lot of tokens and results are not super comparable, and then the models are changing the whole time. I don't know. I'm very tempted when I'm doing coding to say, let's see what Codex is doing. But I don't know. Most of the time it's not giving us a thing. So it's not more like, I don't know what it was there. But yeah, it was about cross-checking between two different providers. For me, I don't know. Maybe in the future, but now the models are changing so fast that how are you 100% sure? No idea. But good point. Okay. Thank you. What? Sorry.
Sorry. So I have a question regarding the one that you haven't started, regarding using tokens as a currency. Yes. Can you share what are your ideas how to implement this? Is this on a stage as a feature? When, for example, products they calculate how the efficiency of the feature using AI will come into money or something else. Can you share?
Yeah. So every single feature that we do in Flyware, it's we track more or less the hours, quote, because it's extremely difficult to do. And then when we go to the reporting in the stock market, we have to report it as CapEx and OpEx, okay? That means that every single feature have what we call a PRD, that is the definition of what product wants to do. And we track it with what we call a pint, that is like a thing that englobes several epics for team, okay? So if I could trace from the PRD to the pint, that is the big chunk of work, and to the epics, and every one of the tickets of the pull request, we put like we are mandatory need to put the Jira ticket that we are using, and I could trace back that. First thing that I'm going to do is measure how many tokens did I burn for each one of the features that I done, okay? That measure is going to be, for me, more deterministic than trying to calculate the human hours, because calculating how much time a team has spent, if the team is only dedicated to that for 3 months, it's easy to calculate, but sometimes teams are assigned to many things. So if we manage the first step to trace back how many tokens did we use for feature, okay, maybe we could start coming back to the business and say, oh, you remember this thing that you planned and it cost me like, I don't know, $100,000 on tokens. What's the revenue there? And then we start the conversation. Trying to predict that in the future, maybe. We will figure out now. As long as we have numbers, maybe we could start interpolating those things. And start to, I know some companies that are trying to do crazy things like invoicing between development departments in terms of tokens and all that, but we are not there yet. So.
Complicated, sounds like.
Yeah. Cost is cost. Yeah.
One question. In terms of security, do you have any restriction, or are you sharing everything with the AI tools without?
No, we have many restrictions. As long as there's a human in the loop and we follow the same procedures as we are pushing code today, it's okay. So we have a restriction that says that for each change that we put into production, the change has to come from not development, non-engineering team. So it means that I cannot say, for this account, just move the money to this other. So the business has to provide that. And when I check in the code, there has to be at least one pair of different eyes to code that, okay? So that's a security constraint that we have. This is still applied with AI. So the commits that AI is doing are not AI commits, are your commits. You're still responsible for that as an individual. So with security applies the same. You cannot push things to production without a real person to impersonate that.
Okay. I was referring specifically to sensible information. If you're sharing something that is sensible.
We don't have access to production.
Okay.
So there's no way to do that. We have access for when you have an incident or something and you need small window access, but you never had access to the production system or personal data, credit cards or anything like that. Neither boots. They are not going to get access to production either. So. Okay. Thank you.